everyone and welcome to this playthrough for Rookie Division in the Club Oceania Tournament. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go! First and foremost, you can see in the video description down below a direct link to the specific holes that we're going to play. And I'm going to do my best to explain to you the best way to play here in Rookie. I'm going to use different setup when it comes to the club. I'm going to use a little bit for the quarterback, I'm going to use extra mile and also the big topper. And various type of balls. We're going to use some Marlins, Navigators, Quasars, and a Titan, and on those 9 holes I'm going to play. The reason I'm choosing to show that is because it's important to show different types to play. And if you do have a specific question about any of the plays that I'm doing on the specific holes, please make a comment in the comment section below. So we're going to have 3.9 here in win. I'm going to play with our extra mile, level 5. We're going to go with a Titan. We need a distance here to play with the island. Not play with the island, play at the island. We're going to go, as you can see here, we're going to change around a little bit with the spin here. So we're going to decide to go with 3.5, as we do not want to come in hot. It's like, we rather take a bounce in the rough and then like roll towards the fringe or like fairway instead of going like short or long on the green. We are adjusting for around 3 rings, even though it's a little bit too much. We should be taking away 1 ring, but in the end we did get to cut the rough. We did end up on the fringe. The dangerous part here is if we would be just short on the green, then we would be having a pot that will have the max overpower, but we will still not be able to reach. So now it's time for us to just ship this one in and take the eagle. And like from the fringe, if we don't make our ship when we do have basically straight tailwind, then we can just blame ourselves basically. In my book, hole number 1 is a must eagle. And I know it might not be that easy if you're not having the club for it, but try to play with a club that do have some distance. You can play with an X-Mile level 2, level 3, level 4 if you have it unlocked. If not having that unlocked, if you do have the big topper unlocked, go with that one as instead. Might going to go have to overpower your shot a little bit, because it's so much better and so much easier to get the eagle by bouncing on the island, even though the drive looks very scary, than playing on the right side, because then you're going to have a long short iron or a long iron to the pin. That is always a bit like, are we going to sink it or are we not? So 4.3, we're going to make it just a tiny bit of adjustment here when it comes to our shot. Then we're going to hit it perfect and going to let it slide down the hole for an eagle. So let's go to hole number 2. Hole number 2 is going to be a par 5, and I do see ourselves being close on this one because we're going to go for the rough bump. And the thing that I love with this hole is that we're actually getting some side wind for the second shot, and that gives us so much more room and makes it to be so much easier for us to go for the rough bump. So thank you for that wind, Golf Clash and Playdemic. So we are not going to play with a Thor's hammer. We're going to play with an extra mile here as well, because we do want to have some distance here. Or sorry, we're going to play with a big topper here actually, just to show that you don't need that much distance here. But otherwise the extra mile will work well, and the ball we're going to play with is going to be a Quasar. And why do we choose a Quasar here? We do want to have some side spin here, because we're going to play on the right side. The right side gives us the opportunity to just go with a straight drive and get it over there to where we want to, because we want to either have a wood club that will play with max distance of that club, or we're going to have a long iron that will play with minimum distance of that club. So max side spin, I'm going to go with 5 bars of top spin to just see that we clear the rough. I'm going to go with almost 2 rings of that adjustment, 1.5 to 2 rings. Doesn't really matter as we have this low type of wind. We hit it great, and that is going to put ourselves to lose some distance with a drive and just cut her off there and roll out. So the topspin will still roll us out, and we're going to have a decent opportunity for the albatross anyway. But of course, try to clear the rough. That will make it so much easier for you for your attempt for the albatross. So, and for you that might not have watched that much here on the channel, there is a tutorial, like a whole guide for every hole. and there is a playthrough with various type of wind, and then going to be one with the tournament wind as well. And check out the streams, as we're going to stream in every division, trying to help as many players as possible to get a good score. And we did get a good start with -14 in Pro, which is okay, and -15 in Expert, which is also okay. And then we're going to on Wednesday play some Masters. So now we do have the big dog here, big dog level 5. You can go with whatever wood club you want, and I do suggest if you do have a club with a little bit more ball guide and a little bit better accuracy, you should go with that club instead. We're going to go with 1 bar of backspin, and we're going to try to line up our ball guide line here just so it is straight to the pin. 4, and we're going to adjust for 1.2 rings, and 1.2 rings is, as you're going to see, is going to be a little bit too much. So we will have to, like, 1.2 rings is basically playing our club in minimum distance as we were, but we're going to have to reduce that even more to take away to go with 1 ring for that one. So hole number 3, a par 3 that you will consider to be a birdie hole. And I don't see this one to be any better than a birdie hole. I really do think this, like, okay, make your shot, stay away from the bunkers and take it. So, and that is going to be the same for hole number 7 when we'll come to that, but we will start with this one. Our opponent here is trying something weird out. This is most likely going to be trouble if you're not getting a very, very lucky bounce. It's like trying to play in between clubs and trying to play on that bumpy part. It's going to be very, very tough to make the hole in one. I do believe, like, playing on the tip of the fairway is going to be the best way to just get it close, and if you're lucky enough, then you're going to get it to drop in the hole. So as you can see here now, the bounce pulls our opponent very long, and sure, on the fairway should be no problem to ship it in for an easy birdie though, but that is way risky to use that bumpy part. We're going to play with the backbone, gives us good accuracy and also the best ball guide that we do have on a long iron. And then we're going to use max topspin. I will see this one to be changed just a tiny little bit. Instead of going 3.5 as we're doing, go with 2.5 bar of topspin instead. It's not necessary to go with 3.5 as we're going to come in too hot. We are playing our long iron in maximum distance, or like close to, and we're going to adjust it for being in maximum distance as well. So it's going to go to 3.2 rings with our adjustment. And we're using a mauling ball as well. That's good to have in mind because we don't need to use a ball with more power. We just use a mauling, and as you can see, we're coming in a little bit too hot, as you can see. So take away 1 bar of topspin, then we're definitely going to be closer. And even though we would be rolling towards the pin here, we would be having a hard time to make it drop. Hole number 4! Big topper time and a Titan. And the thing that we are looking for here is to try to pull ourselves as close to the green as possible. And the Titan is definitely going to help us here. We do have a big topper 4, and this shot can be played with whatever level you do have of your big topper. Have in mind the big topper does not have a good accuracy, so you will need to be spot on with your overpower skill. You can hit it great on the left or the right side, but you cannot miss it more than that. You aim it up like to be on center of the island here, so you do have some room to miss it great on the left side and on the right side. I would consider to stay away from having as much side spin to the right, because you kind of don't need that. You can see here we're not reaching further than that with that type of wind, but we're going to, with the topspin, reach for a short iron towards the pin. If having a berserker ball, or like that has power 5, or you have a power 4 ball, then you could go with that one instead. Still the same play, max overpower. It's just going to make you come closer to the edge and going to reach further on that fairway. You will not be able to reach for the green, as you're not going to have the wind to push you in your back. But at least it's going to be close for you. And that is the thing that we're looking for. Getting close as possible to have a good attempt for the albatross. So our turn, and we're going to play with the Hornet level 3. Not the best club, but that is the best short iron one that we do have. And then it's important that we line it up. We're going to play it slightly downhill. I just mean like very, very, very tiny slightly, not much. So I would consider like that just being maybe a bit too technical. So try to adjust it as you would be according to your guide. We're not having the ball guideline here. Trying to aim up here with 2 bars of backspin. And just go by the beginning of the green here. Going just a tiny little bit, not much at all. Like basically just like 1.5 ring tops. We're going to come in nicely to the pin. We're going to go short though, and we did hit it great. But still in the end, a nice eagle for us on hole number 4. Hole number 5, par 3. And now we are going to play with the short iron. As I've said in earlier hole guides and stuff like that on this hole, this is in my, at least what I remember, is going to be the only par 3 that we're playing with a short iron from the front here. Otherwise it's at least a long iron. Therefore it's going to be a slightly different. We're not going to use that much spin because we're not going to have that bounce that we're looking for. We're going to stay away from having spin whatsoever. The problem for our opponent here is that he's going to like roll down on the green, and this putt, even though it looks short, as it is uphill, it's going to put yourself in a situation where you have to overpower your putt. So that is the thing that we need to stay away from. Gonna go with a navigator so we reduce the wind just a tiny little bit. Gonna go with a Hornet here, using no topspin, no backspin, but like with 4.5 it might going to add just a tiny little bit of topspin, like maybe 0.2 bars topspin, or we'll have to adjust it a little bit closer to the rough, as we're going to not come in short, but we're going to make it stay. So 4 rings for this adjustment. Hit it perfect and get it to bounce where we actually aim, but as you can see we're coming in. Oh, we need that tiny little push there as well. But we're getting it very close there. We do have a little bit of a hill there just in front of the pin. But like, as you can see, 4 rings, no topspin, no backspin. But I would say add just a tiny little bit if you have over 4 in wind. So, okay. Now we're going to play hole number 6, one of the Oasis. And this is a hole that we have been playing before. Like in just a tournament, I think it was 3 tournaments ago, we played this one in the Desert Open, as it were called. And then we played it on the right side. Now we're going to use a quarterback, and we're going to use a Titan here to give ourselves the distance that we need with a quarterback. And the reason we use it for the quarterback is that we do want to have the curl to play ourselves on the left side. Even though we have wind, crosswind left to right, we're going to need to not need, but we do want to play on the left side, as we're not having the top spin to be able to play on the right side. If we're going to play on the right side, if we still want to decide to do that, then we need to play with an extra mile to give ourselves more room with top spin and bounce it slightly over to the right. But now we're going with max top spin of our quarterback and max side spin. And we're not going to adjust this one for 4.5 rings. We're going to go with a little bit less. We're going to go with 4 rings. And then we're going to go with some curl instead, and that is the reason we didn't go with 4.5 rings, as we're going to want to go with 4 rings and then go with curl more. Otherwise we're going to curl this one in the rough. With the top spin that we do have, we're going to stay nicely there, and then we're going to have a long iron towards the rough bump, and the trees are not going to be in play. So our opponent here is trying something special, or like something a bit weird, but in the end he is in a situation, or she is in a situation where she can't do that much from that distance, and now it's just to try to get this one to green. Even that is going to be tough, as you can see there. And then now in the rough, and then you play dangerously with the birdie there. Our turn, we're going to go with the backbone. You can see the 3 are not in play. And we're going to play the backbone with in max distance here. And we're not going to go with any side spin or any backspin or top spin whatsoever. We're going to try to line up it here. As you can see, we are Actually, now when I'm looking a bit closer, we are lining it up a little bit to the left side of the pin. I'm going to adjust it for 2.5 rings. We hit it perfect. We'll see how it goes. So getting the roll that we do want, we are not coming in too hot as we're actually having a decent speed. Having one square behind the pin, that is going to be good. We missed it on the left side because we aimed it too much on the left side. Hole number 7, and hole number 7, I'm actually going to show a tutorial where I'm actually messing it up. And the reason I'm going to show you here is that you're not going to go for the rough bump. You should be going to bounce on the fairway. I know it might be tough as you're not going to have the club with backspin on it, but it is enough for you to have 3-4 bars of backspin to be able to go for the rough bump. We are going to try to go here. As you can see, the ball guideline is kind of consistent here, but you do put the fringe in play and you've just hit the wrong part of the fringe. You're going to be shot through a cannon out into the rough. 2 rings as according to the guide. Then we go slight amount of curl to the right to make it bounce in the rough. As you can see, we're bouncing it nicely though, but we're rolling way over the green as we're getting that push that we are not that we do not want to get, and therefore stay away from the rough bump because it's so inconsistent. And then we're going to play by doing a bounce instead. You will going to see our opponent here actually doing a double bounce, which is a good shot from him. But in the end, you need to have some side spin to the left here for this particular shot. And I would suggest that if you do have a wood club with 4 bars of backspin, you should be playing on the fairway just before the green, bouncing it over. Just take the birdie and be happy with it. As you can see here, that worked really well. Going to be an easy putt here for the birdie. So now we're going to go to hole number 8, and hole number 8 is going to be a bit boring in my opinion because we're not having any type of tailwind for our drive. We're going to have a headwind, and that will mean that we're going to have some headwind for our drive and also some slight crosswind. Then we're going to have like crosswind for our second shot as well, so it's going to be a tough one to actually hole out. So get it to bounce out there. And now it's our turn. We're going to play the same shot. We're going to go with a marlin. We do not need more. We're using the extra mile though, because we do want to have distance with our drive. Now it's just important for us to put ourselves on there and stay away from the rough and the bunker on the left side. If we put ourselves in the rough on the right side, then it's no problem. We're still going to be able to reach for the green. But of course, the ultimate situation or the solutions would be if we would be going and staying away from the rough completely. 1.9 rings, so almost 2 rings. We hit it great on the right side, which is not good, and this is going to put ourselves in the rough. But as I said, no problem if you get in there. You're still going to be able to reach with whatever rough iron club you actually have. So but it was just unlucky there to go just in there. Otherwise we would be having a decent shot towards the pin. Here from this situation, as you can see, and this is a good reason why I'm choosing to show you there as well, is like from this particular distance you're going to have a straight headwind, and we always are looking for straight headwind or straight tailwind because that is an easier way for us to ship it in from distance. So it gets a little bit of curl there, and going to get it in though, going to come in nicely towards the pin. We're going to be an easy one there. Always go for the pin, always go for the pin. And that is the thing that we are going to go here as well. So, okay, we're gonna go with the machete max backspin here, just to try to get it close. And max backspin is going to help us, of course, to stay close to the pin, even though we miss it and hit it maybe great or we hit it good. So that is why I like the machete, actually. I'm going to go with 1.4 rings with the machete. We hit it perfect, and we're going to go right at the pin, but going to come in a little bit too hot. And we're not having enough speed to roll back there. So, okay. last but not least, we're going to have hole number 9. Hole number 9, we're going to play with a big topper. The reason we're playing with the big topper is that we do have a good amount of curl with the big topper, because we're going to actually try to go and play left side here and going to give ourselves an easier shot towards the pin. Max side spin on the quasar and max curl is needed here with a big topper. If you have a quarterback, you can absolutely play with that. If you do lack if you do lose distance, or you're looking for more distance, then you need to use a ball with more power, because most of the times you're not going to have an extra mile, for example, that do have the curl. Then you will only get in level 8 as much as you can see here. And this curl is going to be absolutely perfect for us. We're going to bounce ourselves using 3 bars of topspin, don't need more. Get over here, and now we're going to have a very good shot towards the pin. Take away just a tiny little bit from being in max distance, so 3 rings, and then we're going to bounce it here, and we're going to bounce it over max side spin, getting it very close. But I do not like that we're coming in that hot. I do want to go with like half a bar backspin. I'm going to be happy. So that was hole number 9, and that was all the holes in the rookie division for the Club Oceania Tournament. And again, check the video description for more guides, and also the direct link for every hole. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and here in the end I want to wish you the best of luck in the Club Oceania Tournament.